video, we're going to talk about why sales copy doesn't work and how to create irresistible sales copy without having to figure out what to write about. Stick around. This might just blow your mind and completely change the way that you write posts, emails, really anything, sales copy, landing pages, anywhere that you're writing copy. This is going to completely change your life. Okay, so why doesn't sales copy work? One, we talk about ourselves. We start to think about the pitch. What are we going to tell people about how great we are, our experience? Okay. Another one is that we guess. We sit there with a blank screen and try to guess what to write about. We're trying to figure out, what should I write about? We talk AI to AI. Does that ring a bell? Nobody wants to hear robots talking to other robots. Okay. We pitch instead of listening. We get this, and all of this can also be applied to sales calls as well. Okay. We talk to each other. This is a great example, is recruiting agencies or recruiters talking to each other. It's pretty easy for recruiters to get tens of thousands of followers. And a lot of times it's not their clients that they're talking to, that they're engaging with. A lot of times they're engaging only with other recruiters and with candidates, which sometimes you want to have candidates, but you really want to talk to, if you need business, you want to talk to your ideal clients and your ideal clients only. Another one is we don't give it time. Sometimes our clients they'll make one post and say, it's not working. It didn't work. This takes time. It's consistency, and you need to consistently show up. And another one is we do what we're supposed to do, meaning we follow some influencer's template. Sometimes that might work, usually doesn't work for me. Or we're afraid of being annoying. We hold back because we're afraid that we're going to bother people. But comments without clients don't mean anything. That's what I'm saying, is if we're talking to people who are not our ideal clients, it doesn't mean anything. You might as well just be doing it for fun, which basically you are if it's not turning into revenue, if that's your goal. So I'm going to tell you how the customer copy code works and how to use it. When you're using this method, you're going to be saying exactly what your buyer is already thinking. It's very exciting. Where to find it? Here's places where you can look. You want to look where your ideal. So first of all, make sure you identify your ideal client profile. For me, when I started my coaching business, I was coaching all kinds of founders, all kinds of business owners. Then I decided to niche into what I really know, which is staffing and recruiting. Okay, now I work with other kinds of small businesses. I don't only work with staffing and recruiting agencies, but once I got just super crystal clear on who I was talking to, everything changed. I get incoming leads almost every single day. Okay. So places that you want to listen are sales calls. When you're having calls with people, make sure you have an AI note taker so that you can capture what people are asking you. Private groups. We're not listening in places like LinkedIn where people are editing. They're wanting to show how great they are, not what their deepest, darkest problems are. And that's what we want to get to, is we want to find our ideal clients' deepest, darkest problems. And they're going to be sharing those one-on-one, also in private groups, if you can get into any of the private groups. And tip, you could ask your prospects where they're talking. Just ask them. This is another way to get to a touch point to be able to talk to your prospects and to your clients. Can I get a little bit of advice? Where do you typically, I want to learn what really keeps you up at night. And other people who are in similar roles as you, where do you talk to each other? Ask them that. People want to help. LinkedIn reviews. I'm going to explain that. And Reddit. Okay, Reddit's a great place to start because it's anonymous and people are actually sharing what's on their minds. So what we want to do is we want to talk about the problem: emotion, desire, language, and positioning. Okay. You want people to see you as the solution to their problems. When you show people that you understand their problems, they will see you as a potential solution to their problems. It's about listening and showing that we understand. Okay. And you want your copy to be sticky. One way to create sticky copy is to sound natural and sound human. You want to be unpolished. Address their real life objections, speak to their desired outcomes, and dare to say what other people won't, which is what you're not going to get with ChatGPT or with AI. AI is not going to give you talking points that say what other people won't. It's typically is not controversial. It's typically middle line, average of what other people are saying. Here's some places that you can listen, and I'm going to explain. You want to listen to, we already talked about Reddit or private groups, even Amazon book reviews, which I'm going to show you, in forums, blog post comments. People are typically let their guard down when they're commenting on other people's blogs or even other people's posts. Okay, your clients might be in Facebook groups, might be in interviews. Wherever your prospect is unedited is where you want to listen. Okay, where not to listen. AI written comments or posts, tweets, because they're limited. Anything where people really need to edit and limit, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for unedited, unfiltered, really raw pain that they're sharing. Okay, so we don't want to look at that. And we don't want to look at places your ideal prospect isn't sharing. For example, if your ideal prospect is not talking on LinkedIn, you got to figure out where they're talking. Or I guess LinkedIn is LinkedIn's where you're posting. You're not going to post on LinkedIn, and we're not going to literally listen on LinkedIn. So sorry to be confusing, but you don't want to look at places that your ideal prospect isn't, because you're going to go down a rabbit hole that doesn't have bear fruit. Okay. And you want to avoid summarizing instead of copying and pasting. You want to avoid copying just the things that you like, and don't get discouraged when it takes a while. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how it works. This is an example. This post, this was a day I didn't know what to post about. And all I did was copy. This is exactly what somebody asked me. Exactly. Copied and pasted it. This is I got over 40,000 impressions the first time I posted this. This is the post that the gift that keeps on giving, because I repost, and every single time I get tons of engagement. You can see I got 263 comments. And so sometimes I will also, when I say repost, I copy and paste my same post, and that really works. So this is because this is really raw. This is exactly what somebody asked. And also note that I asked, sometimes I'll share my opinion, but I ask for other people's opinions. This is gold. When you ask for other people's opinions, everybody wants to share their opinion. Don't ask. I've seen one common mistake is asking what people's pain points are. Don't ask that when it's on LinkedIn or when it's public, because people don't really want to share their pain points. Okay. So copy works. Remember this. Copy works not because it's clever, but because it's true. Here's an example. I'm going to show you exactly how it works. So if we're reading, this is a Reddit thread. So say this is my ideal client. Say my ideal client is a surgical director. So I looked at Reddit. And by the way, to start this exercise, you can ask AI, whatever you use, Claude, ChatGPT, what are 25 things that keep surgical directors up at night? Or what are 25 things that surgical directors worry about? You can use that to get started, because then from there, what I did was I set aside a couple of hours of time. I wrote out posts for 2 months of posts. So starting with that prompt, asking ChatGPT, what are 25 things that staffing agency and recruiters worry about? Then I just created content based on that. And then from there, that's when everything shifted. I started talking to really specific audience and people started asking me questions. They started messaging me questions. Okay. And now I keep a bank of questions that people are asking me. So it starts with this, it starts with the research, and then it gets to the point where people are asking you, you become the go-to. So let's look at this, and you can pause and read it. Okay, so pause and read it, because on the next page or next slide, I'm going to show you how I would turn this into copy. So take a look and think about how you might turn this into copy. So here's how I would turn this into copy. I would say a new surgery clerkship director asked, and I pretty much copied and pasted their exact words. Then sometimes I'll add what my replies were. Okay. So I added some things that could be, I use ChatGPT for this. I don't know surgical directors. And then I said, what do you think? This is the type of post that I would do if this were a post in Reddit that one of my ideal clients made. Okay. So you can see it's their words, then my opinions, and then asking for expert advice. Those kinds of posts usually get a lot of traction for me and a lot of engagement. Okay. So you want to ask for opinions, not problems. People are not inclined to share their problems in public, but they want to show how smart they are. So remember this and take a screenshot of this. The magic isn't in writing better, it's in listening better. Your clients are telling you everything you need. You just have to find it. Here's another one. Say this is if I was doing light industrial factory staffing. Look at something like this. And this is exactly a post that somebody made in Reddit. So what I would do with this post, and you can try it. So I would probably post almost actually, this is exactly what I would post. I would say, I'd take out the title correction, LOL. I would just say, how do you explain a miss in your labor hours? And then I would actually copy and paste all the way to do you look at it by line and cost? That's all I would do. That's all I would post and see what happens. This is in LinkedIn recommendations. And this is especially good if you're a recruiter. Okay. So you can look at, I searched up, if my clients were hospital CEOs, I would look up CEOs of hospitals and see what recommendations they've given. Now, this is an exception for LinkedIn because this is giving you their exact words on what's important to them in a candidate. Okay. So if I were going to, and I think his name is John, if I were going to message John and tell him about a candidate, I might use some of his same words. And I might say, this is an AI prompt that I would use. So I'd copy and paste the LinkedIn review if I wanted AI to help me with this. And I would say, I want to use his words to present a fictional MPC. Okay, an MPC, if you don't know, in staffing stands for most placeable candidate. So this is a great way to make a post like that. And then I would copy and paste some things from here because it's taking his exact words to market a different candidate. It works. And they don't realize that you're actually copying their words. The idea is they're going to be like, oh, they're reading my mind. Okay, these are some examples that you can ask candidates when you're talking to them in their own words. And then these are things that you're going to use when if you're sending out a most placeable candidate or skilled marketing campaign. Amazon reviews. Let's go to this. Okay, so this is a review from a book called it's the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. So if my ideal clients are reading about leadership, I would go to a leadership book and see what they were writing, what their comments are. And so this is a place where people will write in their own words. So love this one. Then what I would say, a post I might do, I might make a meme. Okay. So if you go back to here, they said, saw a lot of bad and some good in my leadership style. I thought it was perfect. LOL. Okay. So I might make a meme. I might just copy and paste and do a meme like this. And then this one is I asked ChatGPT to make a meme for me. So it's their exact words put into a meme. Okay. Here's another one. This is an example of a top recruiter, Neetu. She's actually really well known in Los Angeles to being like the best, a really good recruiter of technology people. So I might look at a review that somebody's made of her to actually see what they're talking about, what they value in their recruiting partner. Then if I were to be writing to them to get their business, I might say something like no junk resumes, no bidding wars, because that's actually, you can see this was kind of a long time ago that he said this. He's probably not going to remember that those were his exact words, but he's going to think, well, this person thinks like me. I recommend scheduling a weekly customer copy code writing session. And in my next video, I'm going to show you how to use virtual assistants to help with this. My VAs are constantly looking for customer copy code. So I always have a bank of things to write about. It makes it really easy. But to start with, you can schedule a weekly customer copy code writing session. So what I did at first is I set aside a couple of hours and I wrote posts. I wrote out posts for 2 months. So I had daily posts coming. That shifted everything. So you can schedule time, schedule a block of 2 hours, just sit there and you could start with asking AI. You can go to some of these methods that I've showed you, go to Reddit and just answer their questions. So you could start with, even if you started for a month, you could write out 20 posts or 16 posts. It doesn't take that much time just to write 16 easy posts. Some of them just copy and paste things that you see on Reddit. Try it. Try some different things and see what works. And where to use it? Where do you use this customer copy code? Everywhere. Everywhere you're writing copy, cold outreach emails, LinkedIn content, other content. If you're maybe Instagram, maybe it's Facebook for you, decks, landing pages, proposals, even when you're talking to people. Remember, you're not selling staffing. Whatever it is you're selling or recruiting, you're not selling, you're not pitching, you're actively listening and you're solving real problems. This was actually, I gave this talk at a conference and I was trying to find pickleball partners. We're at a beautiful resort in Denver where I was giving a keynote and there was no one on the pickleball courts and I was trying to get people to play with me. Now it's your turn to give it a try and tell me what you think. Tell me what works for you. Come back to the comments and share. I'm so excited for you to try customer copy code. For me, it completely changed my business, changed my workflow, and it changed my business. Next, I'm going to make a video on how virtual assistants can help to make this flow even easier. I'm Diane Prince. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I built and sold a business within 6 years for $28 million, and I want to help you to build your business too.